Hello, my little Luxxes. This is another episode of Luxxy Charms, and I am your host, cosplayer Charsie Luxxx. Granted, yes, I'm not in cosplay today. I am in normal, comfy attire for today's episode because today I am reviewing another horror movie. Hello again, and as stated before, this is going to be another movie review episode, and we're still going along the lines of this month's theme of, is it Paranoia or is it Parasites? So, on topic for this theme, at least I'm hoping I am getting this in on the 31st. I wanted to have, obviously I would love to have 4 episodes up per month to go along with the theme, but I'm trying not to beat myself up if I don't keep to deadlines and if I'm not able to post every week, but I'm hoping to have this one up by the 31st. But for today's movie review, we are going to be talking about a Blumhouse film from the 2016 movie Viral. Now, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this film at all. I've been noticing that, especially on my channel here, is that I like bringing forward a lot of different movies and films that I don't hear people talk about, because I want to bring the conversation and to have people start talking about these films. That's kind of the whole idea and the enjoyment, especially with the horror community, is that because of my friends that I have found online, that we are talking about movies that I've never heard about, and I get suggestions, and then it's like you get to watch all these movies that you've never gotten to see before and have a conversation about it. So I'm bringing forth the conversation of one of the grossest Parasite films I have ever seen. There is a lot of jump scares in this film. The creep factor is high up there, but I mean anything that has to deal with parasites, something that's a host on your body or in your body, especially in this film's case, in your body, that it gives it a high mark of being something atrocious and scary for me. But I wanted to bring this one forward to clam it together with the rest of my theme from this month. As always, I would like to give a quick spoiler alert that I am going to be talking about this film, so if you have not seen it before, I would suggest, if you don't want any spoilers, you will not want to watch this episode. I watched this one, it was streaming on Tubi, so hopefully it is still streaming there. So if you would like to go watch it before you watch this review, please go watch it on Tubi. So I would like to begin this one by talking about the cast and the crew that are part of this film, because you really can't have a film without introducing the characters first. I mean, I can tell you the story, plot line, and the synopsis and everything, but you're just going to be a little confused on who are these characters. And as courtesy as always, I apologize if I butcher anybody's names on here. You have Sophia Black D'Elia as Emma Drakeford, Leo Tipton as Stacy Drakeford, Travis Tope as Evan Klein, Michael Kelly as Michael Drakeford, Colson Baker as CJ, John Cothran as Mr. Tomei, Stoney Westmoreland as Bill, Lizzie Gray as Gracie LeMay, Jodie Ann Elder as Mrs. Tomei, Philip Lebes as the Gangly Kid, Brianne Howie as Tara Danley, Alexa Fisher as a CDC investigator, Brandon Edgerston as Party Jock, Jennifer Say-Gan as CDC agent, Matt Cudson as another CDC agent, and Dean Neistat as a blockade soldier. And there are several more people as the cast and crew. a very diverse, very large range of characters in this film, but I just kind of wanted to focus on the more important characters to the film. And the directors are Henry Jorst and Ariel Schulman, and the writers are Barbara Marshall and Christopher Landon. And I wanted to share a storyline that I had seen on IMDb and give credit to the writer for that one, because I really do appreciate this short, quick plot synopsis. So the storyline that I found was by Brian Doe, or it could be Brian Doe, it's just D-O, and Emma and her sister Stacy are normal teenagers in a small town when a mysterious infection begins to spread. With the town quarantined and their parents stuck on the other side of the barrier, the girls have a blast eating junk food and sneaking out to go to parties. But when the disease starts to infect people they know, the girls together with their neighbor Evan, Emma's secret crush, barricade themselves into their home. But it may already be too late, as the infection is already in their midst. And Emma will be faced with a choice: protect her sister or survive the virus. And that, like I said, that was a really good description of the film. The tagline for this film is "Fear what's inside." And it's ironic to think that this film was from 2016. And the fact of where we ended up in only a few years for 2020 and dealing with COVID, because I definitely want to talk about the fact that when I first originally watched this film, and you're watching it and you're thinking the whole time, like especially like, it was brought up that sisters Emma and Stacy, that the story is focused around them, and the fact that when this whole little town, when everybody starts coming down with this strange virus, that they're all getting sick and they don't understand what's going on, well, they start quarantining this town and forcing everybody to stay at home. And one of the scenes is that, of course, you have the wild sister. You have Stacy, who has the boyfriend and everything, and they both decide that they're not going to listen to their parents or anything, and they're going to go to this party. Well, they end up basically tricking Emma into going with them because Stacy uses her phone and she texts the guy that she likes, who is Evan next door, and tells him that they're going to the party and she was hoping he would go. So Emma's tricked into going to this party. Now, the whole time I'm watching this film, I'm getting mad at it. Like, why are you being stupid? You were supposed to be in quarantine. You were supposed to be on lockdown, keeping yourself safe. They had all these precautions, and these teenagers are just so stupid. Nobody would do that. Well, then we had 2020 happen, and we all know what kind of happened with that. That, you know, people would go out, they would have parties, and they wouldn't... Now, mind you, I will flat out say that COVID-19 and the coronavirus and everything is nothing, absolutely nothing like what the virus in Viral is. I can't imagine if we were dealing with something on that level, though, that people would react like they did in this movie. As much as it made me mad at the time, it's like now with an understanding that that is exactly what would happen. That we would have an outbreak, and essentially, I don't know if it's just that a majority of people just wouldn't care or just wouldn't believe it. And it's kind of one of those interesting things was that the party scene was such a huge scene to the film, because that's also the realization to the main characters when they realize, oh shit, this is bad, this is scary, this is something that none of them wanted to deal with. And they also had to suffer the consequences because one of the sisters ends up getting the virus and they don't realize it at first. So you reap what you sow. There is a big reason why these girls were able to kind of just do their own thing, because their mom wasn't at the house with them. And that when all of this started going down and everybody started getting sick, that their dad had to leave to go pick up their mom at the airport. Well, when quarantine happened at the town, the dad and the mom were both blocked outside of the town. So these girls were essentially able to just run things on their own. So at first they were thinking it was all fun and games and that they didn't have to worry about anything. And then when realization started setting in, and then the dark side of the film keeps building, and I mean the intensity for the build-up for everything, like, it's a very, very creepy film. It's not obviously something that, I mean, let's face it, most of us who watch horror films are desensitized, but the creep factor for this one is essentially high, especially for the parasites that are in this, because they can get under your skin. And I'm sorry, seeing anything like where you can see it underneath the skin, or where it's crawling in the eyes, or it's crawling in the ears, or anywhere else, it's just it's creepy. And the fact that there is even a scene where, because Emma and Stacy's father is also the biology teacher at the school, that it just so happens that the class he's teaching is talking about different kinds of parasites. And the scene where he's talking about the parasites at the beginning, because they were dissecting a frog, and then they were talking about these different kinds of worms and flies and infections, the things that he was talking about were real things. So you're already being grossed out and seeing this, but obviously it's kind of a nice little foreshadowing for a scene that was going to be happening later on in the film, because one of the worms that the dad was talking about, that you, in order to remove it, you have to take away its breathing source. And if you take away the breathing source, then it has to come out of the body, and that was how you would remove it. So there is a creepy scene later on with the sisters where they think they can remove this infection, remove this parasitic worm, and they try to mimic what the dad had taught them in the biology class. It's such a creepy scene. I mean, I could talk about it as much as you want, but it's like, I'm trying not to give so many spoilers on this one. This one's a relatively recent film, and I don't think a lot of people have watched this one. So it is worth it for at least one watch. I've watched it multiple times, because now we are going to move into my thoughts on the film. So what are my thoughts for this movie? I personally really enjoy this movie. I like it a lot. It is one of those films that I think I even consider it that I love this movie, because I do find myself watching it multiple occasions, that it's kind of becoming one of those that it's in my lineup of movies that I like to watch. And like I said, it was interesting because the first time I had watched it, it was one of those movies where it made me mad. Like, why are these girls so stupid? And why are they doing these dumb decisions? And this and this and that. And it comes to the point where it's like, after seeing the example of what we've dealt with now in the last couple of years, it's a high possibility something like that could happen. We've had the whole pandemic, quarantine scares, that all these movies kind of have always been pushing that envelope. Well, now that we finally officially have seen it, and what could happen, and the possibility of how much worse it could get, I like watching these films because they really are creepy now, and there is an actual realistic scare factor to them now. And, you know, we can always go into conspiracy theories with these films as well, but we shouldn't go too deep into the conspiracy theories for these, because I'm sure nobody wants to hear my conspiracy theories on any of it. As Kermit the Frog would say, but that's none of my business. So obviously I really enjoy this film. Like I said, I should just say that I love this film. It is a fun one. Yes, the ending is cheesy. I will flat out say that the ending is impossible. I mean, I'm not going to give it away. I won't give away this ending. I was very thorough, like extremely thorough in my Splinter review. And that one was like play by play through the whole film. But I will not give away the ending for this one. And yes, like I said, I understand that the ending is technically impossible. And if you have not seen it, so you have no idea what I'm talking about, then I suggest you do go watch it, come back and have this conversation with me and talk about it. It's kind of like the newest Indiana Jones film where he hides in a refrigerator when they are in this bombing test site, and this refrigerator protected him from this bomb. It's on that kind of level for being ridiculous and impossible. The makeup in this is fantastic, and the creep factor where there's a scene where Evan's stepdad is coming after them, and that's kind of when you start finding out that these parasites are technically blind and can't see because they've been taken over by I should say the host has been taken over by the parasite. So you start seeing that little creepy things about these worms and these parasites, and that scene with the stepdad is incredibly creepy. And one of those where it's like the first time you see it, it keeps you on your seat, and you know what, it's still just that one scene, and it's got the perfect kind of jump scares in it too. Do I recommend this film? Of course, I recommend this film to anyone that enjoys horror films. I'm the type of person, though, that I'm a huge connoisseur of any kind of horror, and there's a few horror that I don't like, and generally it's the ones where it's just focusing on the gore, torture porn. I'm not really that big, and I'm realizing the ones that are focused on the torture porn, those really aren't the horror movies that are for me. But I am learning over time, like when watching them, if I skip over the certain scenes that I don't want to deal with, because sometimes they're too realistic, too real to life, to where maybe that's why I don't like them, because the thought process of, hey, this could be something that could happen. But I feel that horror has an element that everybody can find some kind of horror film that they could enjoy. As my friend Sarah Sin says, horror is for everybody. There's a horror movie out there for everyone. There are tamer ones there, and to me, this one's kind of that line of, I don't know, this one could be too close to home right now for a lot of people, and watching it and thinking, we just dealt with something so similar to this. But I do recommend this one, and this one's a fun horror. It is creepy. Granted, it's creepy to me because me thinking of any form of infection or virus or parasite, it just, yeah, we know how I feel about that by now. So yes, I do recommend to watch this movie. I did want to include this little trivia blurb that I had found on IMDb, where it talks about in May of 2015, the movie was announced to be released in theaters in February of 2016, but was later dropped from the schedule. It was released on video on demand on July 29th of 2016. So this one was originally supposed to be released in theaters. Can't talk as usual. This one was originally supposed to be released in theaters and of course went straight to video. Wondering what this one would have been like in theaters, like especially with the weird clicking noises that the parasites make, which it's another trivia in this one too, which of course this one says spoilers on it. The infected occasionally make a clicking sound that is highly reminiscent of the antagonists from the video game The Last of Us. So very similar sound. So if you've played that video game and that one kind of gives you that kind of scary factor, then the clicking in this one will be like a reminder for that video game. So that was pretty cool. So I would love to thank you for joining me on another Luxxxy Charms, and for joining me here for this very quick movie review of the 2016 horror film from Blumhouse called Viral. And as I said before, I love this film. It's becoming a favorite of mine. It's kind of been one of those where I keep coming back to it, I keep watching it, and obviously doing all my little research for this one just made me appreciate it just that little bit more. And on top of that, I recommend it for anybody else to watch it and enjoy it too. But once again, thank you for joining me. And if you would like to join me on my other social medias, you can also find me on my Twitter for Charsie Luxxx with 3 X's. You can find me on my Instagram for Charsie87, and you can find me on my other YouTube channel with my friend DC for Little Channel of Horrors. And can we get a load of my nails? Here, let's actually get a nice close-up of those. I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Dee and her daughter who have Nails MD, and they do customized personal nails. You've seen me wear them before, but I obviously will link them in the description below because Halloween is coming up. If you would like to get some really awesome, fantastic, super cool personalized Halloween ones, you definitely want to snag her now because it's only a couple months away now. Oh my gosh, 2 months away and we're finally at Halloween, and I'll be on vacation in Florida. I'm so excited. And I just thought of something. I should probably start doing the thing where on my last episode from the theme of that month, that I should give the announcement for what is next month's theme. So I am excited to announce that for the month of September, we are going to be doing Clowning Around. And what a perfect segue to go in. I had plans to do this one before the month of Halloween anyways, because I love watching clown movies just before the month of Halloween, through Halloween. It's my favorite time of the year to watch clown movies, so I already had plans to do this. And one of my favorite top clown films of all time is Killer Clowns in Outer Space. So I was going to talk about that movie, and the video game just came out, so I am super excited to announce that next month's theme is Clowning Around, one of the first movies that I am going to be talking about, either a review or commentary. I think I want to do a commentary of the whole film and watch it with my husband, because I don't know how long it's been since the last time he's watched that film all the way through. So I'm super excited for that one. I can't wait until next month, but I am sad to see, is it Paranoia or is it Parasites to go? Obviously, as always, we can that probably was pretty loud. We can always revisit the theme of Parasites. Not necessarily the original one, but some form of Parasites. And as always, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your afternoon, the rest of your evening, the rest of whatever time frame that it is for you, the rest of your night. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye! Blumhouse's 2016 movie on basically tricking Emma into going with them because Stacy uses her phone and she texts the guy next door that she likes, Eric. Or I should make sure that's his name. Evan, huh? Is anyone else craving gummy worms right now? totally go for some gummy worms.